Hi guys, we have another case of Brexit regret, it seems. Now this is Iain Martin. He's a columnist for the Times newspaper. Now before we get into what he had to say and his change of heart, if that's what it is, let's have a bit of a look at Iain himself. Now Iain is a columnist for the Times newspaper, as I said. He's also former editor of the Scotsman and Scotland on Sunday. He also wrote a book on the financial crisis and the City of London. From 2009 to 2011, he was the deputy editor of the Wall Street Journal Europe, for which he wrote a blog on politics. He moved to the Daily Mail newspaper in 2011 to write for a short time to write a weekly column on politics. And he's also the co-founder and editor of CapX, which is an online right-wing newspaper, which includes contributions from people like Tim Montgomery and Daniel Hannan, Brexiteer Daniel Hannan. So you can get an idea of the caliber and his positions. Before we go a little bit further, it's important to remember that he is a Brexit supporter and he believes that Nigel Farage should receive a peerage. Some of his articles, the ones that stand out, are "Eurocrats remind us why we voted for Brexit, and we don't need climate lectures from Greta." So let's hear what Iain had to say.
Completely
You don't
ludicrous.
think that's what
I think
British
it's
people
completely ludicrous. Well, if they are, isn't that what political leadership is about? I don't honestly believe, I don't think it is a question of opinion polling, but I think if you ask people now who are all glued to watching the coverage on the BBC and elsewhere of this humanitarian disaster, which is only going to get worse in the next few weeks. Of course there are stresses and strains, and we'll come to talk, I'm sure, later on about energy and what this is going to do to the economy. We're moving into a completely different era. So I just think that kind of thinking, I voted for Brexit in the referendum, but that kind of Brexit era assumption and thinking and way of thinking about immigration and humanitarian rights and Europe, the wider sort of question of European solidarity, I just think is hopelessly out of date. There might be some voters who think that, but they're wrong morally.
Wow. So Brexit voters who still think Britain should be separate from Europe and not engage in European solidarity are morally wrong. And this type of thinking is out of date. Now, I hope that he has changed his mind on whether Nigel Farage should receive a peerage. Boris Johnson a peerage, oh my God. Don't even get me started on that. But it's good that we have a Brexiteer who, if he's still a Brexiteer, I hope that he has changed his mind on Brexit. He has decided, look, Brexit was a mistake. We can't cut ourselves off from Europe. We have to work together. The situation in Ukraine has demonstrated that we need to work together. This outdated imperialistic 1950s mentality of we'll go it alone, we're superior to everyone else. That was something that many people who voted for Brexit truly believed. I don't know if Iain was one of them. He claims now that was outdated, that was morally wrong. And I'd welcome him aboard our Remainer bus or Ramoner bus or Rejoiner bus, whichever you want to call it. It'd be interesting to hear a little bit more from him. This is all we have, but it's good to see a Brexiteer regret their vote. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.